Hello from foggy old London town. I'm here for about a week, probably, as a layover on my way back to Ukraine, because, well, as many of you know, I'm kind of obligated to that country. And through promises I made, feel beholden to keep resisting and trying to push back against Russian Empire. And I'm filming this on Remembrance Sunday here in the UK as a British citizen. I wear my poppy proudly. It's a day when we consider the sacrifices of those who fought for democracy. And you can say what you want about Britain, and much of it would be true, the criticisms of hypocrisy, of not standing for the values of those beliefs in reality on the ground. For example, class inequality or racial inequality, not only here but in the entire Western world. And you'd be right. But the difference is we recognize it and we fight against those of our baser natures, those urges. It is why the Lincoln quote is there at the end of every On the Edge episode. So where do I think we are? Just as a quick response, I'll do a fuller episode when I'm back in the studio in Kyiv, but just in brief, we're fucked. We're fucked. This is bad. And it's going to be really bad for Ukraine. A lot can happen in 4 years, and if support from America disappears, as I fear it will, then Ukraine is going to lose more and more territory. It is going to have a harder fight. More people will die. They will continue to resist because living under Moscow's thumb is unacceptable, as centuries have taught the Ukrainians, and this war of independence must be the last one. All the plans and the devices that are being put forward by those in the Trump incoming administration or potential incoming administration will not be accepted by Ukrainians. Zelensky will be hard-pressed because he will have to weigh out bending to Washington in particular's will, and potentially losing support, most likely losing support within Ukraine, because the vast majority of Ukrainians know why they're fighting and they're not going to stop. So all of this puts everything in terms of the Ukraine war up in the air, but I don't think it's going to go well. I think it's going to get far worse before it gets better, but I still believe that Ukrainians and Ukraine will survive and win because they have just cause, and they know why they're fighting. And an insurgency, partisan war, wherever it boils right down to, before hopefully the West regains its senses, well, that's going to be ugly. Now, bigger picture, as a Briton and an American, the divide in the transatlantic is going to get worse. He is going to destabilize NATO. He is an agent of the Kremlin. I've said it before. I'll say it again, and I'm going to stand by it. His interest is serving Putin, or at least acquiescing to Putin, because he's compromised. He's deeply compromised. He will not do anything ultimately to deter Moscow's interests, and that includes winning for them in Ukraine. So it's going to get far worse, and Moscow's designs of divide and conquer I fear will be successful in Europe. Already there's talk by various European leaders that America is no longer a trustworthy ally, that if America is to put America first, then it's time that Europeans do the same. The rift will grow larger and larger. It will destabilize the NATO alliance. These are my concerns, and I don't think they're unfounded. And with a divided NATO, Russia and Moscow will be in the ascendancy. And so I see a future that is very much within reach of Moscow and the autocracies around the world, that the West, fractured and weakened, will also fall prey to plutocracies, autocracies, and that the days of liberal democracy, again, as flawed as it is, that system, that liberal democracy system, one man, one vote, and the rule of law are a thing of the past. I hope I'm wrong, or I hope they're wrong. I believe we're going to resist, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And so, again, on Remembrance Day, for those who made that ultimate sacrifice, the very least we can do is to keep up the struggle. But make no bones about it, I am of a different mind today than I was on November 4th. I had hoped that Americans would be better and choose a better future and not such a cynical one. But I'm afraid that, as in the Lincoln quote, the know-nothings are gaining control. And it is up to those of us who still believe in the American project to resist, because if we give up all pretext of believing in those base core ideals of our founding fathers and the Age of Enlightenment, then who's to say we shouldn't all just chuck it all in, right? Well, I take my cue from Lincoln, and I'm not going to stop resisting. So I'm back to Ukraine. I'll have a full episode soon from the studio, and we will continue our discussion with leaders and folks who can bring a perspective to understanding why the conflict is happening, and who are the Ukrainians and why they deserve their liberty and independence. But I'm afraid I am now more pessimistic than I have been throughout the entire conflict, the full-scale invasion. Not surrendering, but I understand that things are going to be far, far harder and far worse in the next 4 years. We can only hope that the winds of fortune will turn our way regardless of the Trump administration. Again, I'll be back in Kyiv in about a week. I will record an interview, and so we'll put something out probably around Thanksgiving week of this year, 2024. I wish things had gone differently, but they didn't. Let's just keep up the fight. Thanks very much.